They're all like fighting at Mareeford, and then Imu shows up like, huh.
Welcome to today's episode. It's a very special episode.
Is
You
it?
might not see it in our backgrounds. I feel like blue and purple, kind of positive.
It's very trans-positive.
Yeah, we're talking about hell today. So I hope, how you guys doing? Was your week hell or was it paradise? Which one was it?
Are they inseparable? We don't know. I don't know. Do I have something that's more garden-like? I'm just gonna fuck around with lights.
Well, Liam fucks the lights. Sophie, how was your week? Was it more hell or paradise?
I am going to say hell,
Really?
but that's because I haven't gotten much sleep in this past week.
What's been burdening you?
Life. It's one of those episodes.
Have you had an encounter lately? An avian encounter? Is that what's on your mind?
Did I actually tell you guys? I think I might have told you last week, no, that I completely avoided the magpies on my driveway and went the other route.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
All right, maybe I'm still under trauma.
Clearly
then.
that has
Yeah.
stayed
Clearly
with
still
you
keeping
this
it up.
experience. And that kept you awake the entire week?
Yep, for an entire week I haven't been able to sleep. What if it's back tomorrow? What strategy do I come up with then?
Should have told them, get off my lawn, but I didn't.
You overestimate my bravery.
What about you, Liam? Your week more hell or more paradise?
Limbo? What's in between? Neutrality? Stagnation? Everything's just been going pretty as usual. If it is hell, it's the kind of hell that like really tortures you slowly, and you sort of don't realize it until a couple of 100 years in, and a couple of 100,000 videos made on YouTube.
But then it hits you even harder.
Then it hits you, then you realize, oh my god, this is where I am?
Liam's just empty inside. If you actually open him up, it'll just be YouTube code spilling out of him. He has no blood anymore.
It'll just be a puff of dust.
It's just a MP3 file of, desert sound effect, and it's like the wind like...
With a tumbleweed.
And you can hear faintly, welcome to the Grand Line Review.
I should say, I think it's been a pretty alright week. It's not been, spectacular, but it's not been, oh, I'm afraid of birds and there's a bird in my driveway. I don't even have a driveway. But we do have frequent birds that stop by at our house. Sophie would hate it. My wife loves it. My wife talks to the birds.
I guess it is Australian winter, so most Australians hibernate. Most of our viewers might not know
We
that.
do? In caves?
Actually, we're having a very hot winter. We've got the El Nino now. So we're going to see temperatures rise to about like mid 20 degrees this winter.
Which is disgusting.
Interesting that you're saying this. I have a little thing I wanted to discuss with you before we get into today's anime, which you might or might not have guessed is Hell's Paradise. But since you mentioned El Nino, I'm not sure. I watched a really interesting video recently by a science YouTuber I really like, criticizing but also
Criticizing El Nino?
No, it was more criticizing the sheer number of AI-generated science channels that have popped up on YouTube. Like, I'm sure you guys have gotten recommendations of like, NASA just discovered this, and then it's just like a super crazy AI-generated image of like Earth with an eyeball.
I haven't seen any of this. I don't think I'm in your
Yeah.
niche sphere.
Well, maybe it's because I really enjoy like consuming science content, and so I've definitely have those channels and basically in the video essay he breaks down how it seems like all these videos are made by like the same group or like same person. They're pumping out like a video every 12 hours. It's basically always like either Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, what was it? It's like the classic like Michio Kaku, like the super like clickable science people, and then it's just like some random super clickbaity thumbnail, and then an AI generated, like the editing is AI, so the clips don't like barely fitting what's being said. The script is clearly AI generated, just like talking points.
What is it? Is it like a scam? Are there like links in the description, or is it just meant to content farm?
No, it's farming views. I mean, each of these channels publishes like a video, like 2 to 3 videos a day, and a bunch of them like just go viral, and a bunch of them flop.
It doesn't matter as long as you've got that one piece of popcorn that goes.
View farming, yeah. And I guess like what the channel said correctly is like, I mean, per se, if people watch the content, like fair enough, but the problem is that they're selling themselves as science channels covering like new scientific discoveries, and when the science is just like bullshit, that's if it's like actively misinforming about like educational content, that's a little bit problematic. And the reason I just remembered that was because I remember actively seeing a video the other day being recommended to me. This year's El Nino will end everything.
Good title.
Such a YouTube channel title.
But it was just like the earth on fire or something.
Oda just dropped an El Nino bombshell.
Yes, I was like, dude, you make it sound like an anime.
El Nino just broke One Piece.
Something
yeah,
for our
exactly.
niche. Yeah.
We waited 20 years for this El Nino revelation.
It's like, you won't believe what this El Nino did this year.
Here's the thing, I'm pretty grateful to our situation because it makes summer much more bearable. It doesn't get quite as hard, it rains a bit, there's some relief. You gotta leave me alone during winter. I like my winters cold, and it's been so disgustingly warm.
And I will say, I mean, your Australian cold is still
No,
fairly...
no, Australia gets cold.
At like 4 a.m. in the dead of July.
Okay, maybe granted it's because they're all Australians, but even non-Australians who come visit us in winter, I always hear them complain like, what the fuck is going on? I thought this was Australia.
Where do
I
they
was
come
not
from?
ready for this. I've all over the place, like Europe, I've seen some from Asia.
I've never met a European who has gone, oh, Australia, brr.
Definitely. I definitely have. Also, I learned a new word that I've promptly forgotten, but I've learned a new word that basically expresses the underlying fear that you have for something you know is far off or not so far off, but at least in the somewhat distant future, although you are enjoying it now, which is exactly how I feel about our situation, because while personally I am quite grateful that we don't have a cold and rainy winter because I like the sun, I know that this is really bad in terms of climate change, and I'm very scared about what this means for our future, but I've
So
forgotten
Sophie,
the
yeah,
word.
what's happened is you haven't learnt the word. You've learnt the
What the
definition.
fuck was that story? You've forgotten the word? You're like, I learned this word that expresses like this. I don't know
I
what
did.
the word is anymore.
Well, I was hoping maybe Liam might be able to tell me. He's our word connoisseur.
I don't even know how to type in your definition because it was so closely linked to climate change.
Doesn't have to be just climate change though, right?
Worried?
No.
Excited? Looking forward to?
Concerned.
Optimistically concerned?
I remember he had a G and an L and a B, maybe.
In that order?
No, definitely not in that order.
That's like the most random thing I've ever heard.
I'm sure someone out there knows.
Glossophobia.
Yes, I
a
think.
strong
wait,
fear of public speaking.
No, that's not it. That's not it.
Chronophobia is the fear of the future, but I don't understand how to tie that into the present as well.
I'm sure someone out there knows.
Let's bring this conversation maybe all the way back to anime. Basically, it's just like that was such a random segment. It's like, oh, I've learned this word, but I've forgotten it. Love that. You two are clearly not watching enough anime. I thought I'm not watching enough anime, but clearly I'm watching the most here. So another one of my recommendations. We had a good streak. Everyone loved Mashle last week, so I'm curious to hear if I can hit 2 in a row with getting you guys on board or not.
First of all, I want to say sorry to people who I Twitch stream with because I've been getting requested to watch Hell's Paradise with them via Twitch stream for a while, and I kept promising them I will, but I've been just trying to find the right time for me to do it, which I haven't been able to. But because we were going to discuss it, I watched it on my own, so I feel a big sense of betrayal
Betrayal.
and guilt.
Top 10 anime
But I did
betrayal.
watch it. And I have to say, pretty good. I wouldn't give it the glowing praise that I gave Mashle, but that might be because I feel like I've had a lot of people hyping it up to me. And
Interesting.
it's a fun premise, and I think the more I watch it, it gets even more interesting and mysterious, which I'm appreciating more now, but I think it might have taken a little bit too long to get there.
I felt like it was like pretty heavy in action right from the start.
The first episode in particular, I think, is very slow, which I kind of appreciate. I sort of like meandering my way into this world before things like really took off and went insane.
Yeah, I mean, it felt very similar to Chainsaw Man, and maybe that's because of the same studio.
In what way?
In the sense that they were really trying to establish the characterization of the main character in that first episode, and then really take off from the second episode, because that's what really happened with Denji in Chainsaw Man. I feel like it was really about him as a character, as opposed to I guess the outside world bled in a little bit.
Do you want to give a quick summary of the show for the people who have not managed to watch it, but you should. Like, we're always giving you the new topic, or whenever we're reviewing an anime. That what I just said. Yes, you have the chance to catch up with us. But yeah, for the people who haven't seen
Sophie, could you please give the...
Can I give the my of Hell's Paradise is that it is about a ninja who wants to leave the life of ninjadom to live in paradise with his wife.
in non-ninjadom.
Yes, non-ninjadom. And in order to do that, he has to go find the elixir of life at a mysterious island where things are not as they seem.
Well, yeah, there's a little bit more to it than that, I suppose.
Nope, that's it. It's
No, that's
so
fine.
Sophie's
All right.
like,
Sophie,
have you
wrong.
read the book? Have you read the book?
No, I think it's important to point out that he's like being betrayed by his clan, and it's a last chance series. Like, this is his last chance to get a normal life, and that's why he's so desperate to go to this horrific island and do horrific things.
True, he was on death row, and everyone who else got sent were also on death row, and they were sent along with their partners, their executioners.
It's kind of like a battle royale, kind of, but not.
In like a roundabout way.
I'm going to be honest. I don't think the Shogun had a plan, or at least it's not evident to me that he had a plan when he sent like 20 prisoners to the island and was like, all right, you 20 executioners, follow them. When you get to the island, just do something. Get me my immortality.
Yeah, I very much agree with you.
That seems to be as much as it was thought out.
Yeah, and I think that's especially the case because don't they say that they've also now struck a deal with his old ninja clan, and the ninja clan are also on their way now? So it's like the
Yeah,
Shogun sort of
imminently.
knew as soon as he sent them, you know what? Everyone I send are kind of trash. They're all mid. I gotta send a new group immediately.
Which is like, why didn't you have that thought to begin with? Why didn't we send the most trusted people first instead of the society's misfits? I guess technically it's because, they're expendable. We don't care if they die. But at the same time, you send the executioners, who are less expendable and we kind of do care if they die.
Yeah, aren't they actually quite a esteemed clan?
I believe so.
The executioners come from, yeah.
They're supposed to be. Though I will say there's like this one red-haired guy who obviously is the strongest one, and he dies right at the beginning, but I called heavy bullshit the moment I saw it.
It was really jarring.
The one thing I'll say what I thought was funny, I think it was the episode before the last one, where like the blonde guy fights the god and then dies, but they have like a whole flashback for him. It's kind of the Demon Slayer treatment.
Yeah.
Most of
I was
the
thinking
episode
that.
is his flashback, yeah.
That happened the episode prior, or a few episodes prior as well, with the two brothers. I was very invested in these two brothers' relationship, and then they die at the end of that episode.
That would be one criticism that I have. I think the episodes after the first two get very predictable-ish with their structure. It's like, we're going to be focusing on this character here, and half the episode's going to be their flashback, and then the other half is going to be showing what they're doing in the forest with the weird shit. I'm still pretty on board with it, though.
I'm enjoying it.
I agree with Sophie's opinion entirely, except I have the opposite. No one has hyped this show up to me. Manu, if you hadn't have mentioned it, I wouldn't even know it existed.
No one hyped it up to me too, actually.
Really?
I'm pretty on board with it, though.
I mean, I think it's fun. I'm not on my hating anime seat today.
You're not milking it.
I just think it wasn't as good as I had expected, but it is still a fun show. I do think, though, maybe part of the reason why I feel this way, as you guys were explaining your perspectives, I think it really clarified my perspective on it. I think I actually did really enjoy the characterization of a lot of these side characters, so for them to all just dissipate so quickly, I'm a bit disappointed in that. Because I have to say that I don't know how invested I am in the main character as of yet.
Really?
Yeah, I think I've found all of the other characters around him a lot more interesting than him.
That's fascinating because I actually get kind of annoyed whenever they cut to someone who isn't him because I get the formula. I'm like, we're just going to see a flashback. We're going to see them fight. Maybe they'll die or one of them will die. But when you get to the main character, I'm like, oh, fucking great. It's back to the actual plot. We can move forward.
I would agree though with that too. Yeah.
In the latest episode in particular, I really enjoyed his fight with, I don't know the name of what he fought They have weird, crazy plant names, but I really enjoyed.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't watch the last episode,
Oh, I appreciate your honesty.
but that's okay. I will go catch up. But I'm guessing he fought another god. Did he fight another god, or did he fight one of the monsters?
Yeah, he fought one of the gods.
The gods.
Yes,
okay.
he did.
Which gave you some vague little foreshadowing because the god is like, are you really a human?
Right.
You're probably blank and don't even know it. Never mind. No reason to expand on that. You're going to die anyway. That sort of frustrating little seeding that he's more than he appears to be.
I mean, again, I feel like it doesn't do anything super crazy, but I find it fairly entertaining. I think the main character is kind of like an interesting mix-up of things. It doesn't feel like it's like super novel, but I don't know, maybe you guys can like put your finger on that better. It feels unique in a certain way, even though in a way it also feels generic, but I can't quite put my finger on it why it feels different a little bit. Maybe it's the violence? I don't know.
Maybe it's the setting as well, because it's very similar to the whole demon fighting, I guess, trend that we've seen, I guess, actually all through all time. But then it's in a completely different setting. Like, I mean, Chainsaw Man, Jujutsu Kaisen, they all feel very similar in that it's that city, concrete walls. I mean, shown beautifully, but like fighting demons in those settings. Whereas now it's like we're still fighting wacky looking, really absurd creatures, but now we're on this fantastical island.
There's a mystery vibe about it though, 'cause it's like a really beautiful island and it has hidden things and why are people turning into flowers? I think there's a really good hook with the setting. The way I would describe this, and this is why the premise of the series got me so excited when it did become apparent, it's kind of like what happens if Hunter x Hunter actually went to the Dark Continent. This is the sort of thing I would expect to happen. You set foot on this unknown land, you encounter these weird, crazy creatures. Quite possibly my favorite moment in the series so far was when they encountered that butterfly thing with that
The human face.
horrific face
yeah.
that just like stung and was like, just like even the teeny tiny insects are
everything.
an immense threat on this island. That's what really got me about it.
Yeah, which was a cool moment. It established right from the start that you can never let your guard down here, which I think was kind of cool.
Never. And that things are more than they appear. If you look closer, like the insect is not just an insect. It has this like Buddha statue face, which is creepy as shit.
And I will say, I kind of enjoyed also, again, nothing like, where has this been all my life? But I did enjoy the concept of basically it's like this accumulation of a lot, like of any type of classic badass anime character. Like they're throwing all the stereotypes for any like badass anime character on this island, but they're all like slowly dying one after the other. Like you have everything from like the tall brute, like crazy strength, like the silent blind swordsman. You have everything kind of, right? Like the funny guy or like the sexy girl who's actually really dangerous. But they're all like struggling suddenly, which I thought was kind of cool and like unique in that sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Liam does not agree, it seems like.
No, I agree. I'm just having a completely different thought in my mind.
Oh, please share it with us.
Due to the premise of being a mystery, I think it is both handled well and not handled very well. I think we're very rapidly progressing towards answers, whereas what I would have liked from a setting like this is more, I don't know, is Lost a really bad comparison? Sort of like we're stuck on this mystery island and we've just got to slowly discover things instead of, there are gods, the elixir's over there, good luck, I'm a tree.
I do agree, and I think that also has to go back to what I was saying about all the other characters that were dying. I think it would have made more sense if that happened sort of slowly, maybe throughout the entirety of the season, and so
Instead
it's
of flashback
exactly,
death,
yeah,
flashback death.
exactly. So like sort of in like the first 5 episodes, or in the span of 5 episodes, like we find everything out. I was very surprised at how quickly we discovered the gods.
And how quickly someone confirmed that the elixir did actually exist.
Yeah.
True also.
Like, imagine if that happened to Luffy in One Piece during, like, Syrup Village. Usopp's just like, oh yeah, the One Piece exists. Here's a map to it. Go.
Or like Imu showed up.
Yeah.
They're all like fighting at Marineford, and then Imu shows up like,
That's a good point, actually. I mean, I'm kind of curious because I have obviously no idea, like, regarding the manga, how long this series actually is. Because it feels like it's going to be a lot shorter, as you said, like the pacing is fairly quick.
It is only 13 volumes. It ran for 4 or 5 years, so it is quite quick.
yeah, right, okay.
Oh, sounds like there will be more than one season then, though.
It finished with chapter 127 by the looks of it, so that's like solid 2 full seasons, or like 4. 12 episode sorts of seasons.
My understanding is that episode 9 is sort of up to chapter 27. So we're like a third of the way in already then.
Good pacing. It's nice to, I guess, be watching something that you know is going to end.
Sounds so morbid.
I mean, that's the state of anime, though. You get a great seasonal show, and then it ends on a cliffhanger, and then it's like, who knows if the studio's going to do a season 2? And if they do, it's going to be fucking 4 years later. That's what happened with ReZero. I really got into the first season of that. It ended, and I was like, Another? No more until like 5 years later. Like, I was a completely different person when season 2 of ReZero came out. I had moved house like 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, and even since season 2, it's been like a few years again, I feel. It's the same for, have you guys watched High School of the Elite?
No.
That was also a very good anime. First season, loved it, and then it was like, oh yeah, season 2 will be out soon, and it's like, I think it came out like 7 years later, which was like last year or something.
7 years later.
Yeah.
Might as well do a remake at that stage.
Literally, yeah.
You really do need to be like Jujutsu Kaisen level popular to really fast track that second season.
Speaking of Jujutsu Kaisen, what do you guys think about the animation and the way that it's been done?
It's alright.
It's
I
alright.
don't think it's spectacular.
Are we talking about the first season or the movie?
No. I mean, as in the animation.
You mean as in
of-
Hell's Paradise, because Mappa
in
also
Hell's-
animates it.
Yes. Yes.
It feels so bad to say this, but I don't really notice it, and that's not a bad thing, because that means that I'm allowing myself to get much more immersed. There's nothing about it that strikes me as like, that's a bit off, or there's nothing about it that strikes me as going like, oh, that took a long time for those artists to complete. It kind of hits the sweet spot for me.
Honestly, I feel like the animation definitely stood out for example, the movie, and I mean the first season also. It's just because we've kind of all grown really used. What? What's so funny?
I just love that you're going back to Jujutsu Kaisen after we established that we're talking about the animation for Hell's Paradise. But I do see where you're going with this, so please continue.
Oh, yeah. That's only to defend it. It's like, after One Piece, Jujutsu Kaisen is like my number 2. So I'm very passionate about it.
Speaking of Jujutsu Kaisen, here's the thing about Hell's Paradise. One reason why it probably doesn't stand out is because at the moment, it doesn't have a lot of powers. It doesn't have a lot of like energy-based stuff happening, whereas Jujutsu Kaisen has all of the cursed energy happening right from the get-go, so that gets all beautiful and people wank themselves and go, oh, anime. Whereas Hell's Paradise, it has a little bit of that with like the flames of the main character.
Yeah.
But right now, for the most part, it's pretty raw when it comes to the combat. It's just, meat hitting meat.
But even with the choreographed fights where it is quite physical, I feel like Jujutsu Kaisen's animation stands out a whole lot more. Or even Chainsaw Man, but I guess Chainsaw Man is also slightly different in terms of the power system.
I would agree with both of those.
It is the good Mappa money after all.
I guess that's what I was just surprised about, was watching this. What you said, Liam, about how it doesn't detract from your viewing experience in either way because it doesn't distract you, I think is a very good point. For me, I think the distracting point was me thinking, I can't believe that this is done by Mappa, because
I expected better.
I'm not disappointed.
Someone's been eating far too well.
When I look at the actual drawings, that I figure
She's just been watching
very
Demon
looks the
Slayer
same.
secretly.
What a snob. What an anime snob.
I don't think it's bad. I'm just saying that I didn't expect it. Like,
It's not bad. It's just mid. Do better,
It's
Mappa.
just terrible. It's just...
I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm just saying it made me fall asleep again.
Serious talk, Sophie. Did you fall asleep whilst watching this at any point? Surely you did.
Second episode.
Surely should have.
To be fair, there was a lovely sunset in that episode.
Is there like a show or like a movie where you're like, I could just not fall asleep? It was like too.
I don't know.
It's
Honestly,
like fall asleep to anything.
I do. I fall asleep to anything. I really do fall asleep to anything. I actually find it easier to fall asleep when I have something playing as opposed to any other activity. That and maybe when I was still back at uni, reading something that I had to do for uni. Those were the two surefire ways to get me to fall asleep. Sometimes when I really want to go to sleep and so I turn something on for that purpose, I find that my body fights it and decides to just stay up and watch it instead, even though I know I'm sleepy. Whereas other cases where I actually want to watch something, my body will not keep up with my heart and will fail on me.
Weak willpower.
I don't know what's going on, but Crunchyroll on my phone wouldn't let me Chromecast from my phone in Japanese with English sub. And whenever I tried to Chromecast it onto the TV, it would only play the dub, which I refused to watch. And then so I thought, okay, maybe... So I didn't realize that it was a phone problem. So I thought, okay, maybe Crunchyroll only has the English dub. So I went and got my VPN, but then when I use my VPN, then you can't Chromecast anything onto the TV because the Wi-Fi don't match. And then I finally found out that for some reason, if I Chromecast it from my laptop onto the TV, then it could work. And that's a long roundabout way of me saying that I don't like to watch anything outside of it being on the TV from my bed.
I was about to ask, like, I watched all of this on my laptop. Could put it on a big TV in the lounge room, but I don't mind watching things on the laptop, especially anime. It feels like a solid medium. Maybe that's why you hated the animation, because you're just like, oh god, I can see all of the imperfections on my giant television as I fall.
It could be the case, and the reason why I also asked is because I didn't know if it was a problem with me Chromecasting it, and so because of that extra, I guess, medium, maybe that even degraded the quality one more.
So you're the problem.
Chromecast has the built-in function where it AI makes your anime look shit. It's like, this is not how we expected it. I don't know. I felt like the animation was rather beautiful, honestly. Like, it was not as amazing as I was like, that's another MAPPA. But kind of like Liam, I felt like it was beautiful with the flowers and everything, and it was like not, as you said, distracting me in a way where I felt like, oh man, this is just not good.
The art is beautiful. The animation itself is kind of unnoticeable. In fact, there are a couple of times when I noticed, but it wasn't because of the animation. There's a couple of weird times in Hell's Paradise where you're like in a fight and then it will just cut to the end of that fight, which I found a bit jarring. Like when they first get on the island, the main character's name, whose name I can't remember, gets hit in the head with a ball and then he has to fight the big guy with all the weapons. They start fighting, they get serious, and then all of a sudden it's cut and we're standing over the corpse of the guy.
You were like, they were saving money there?
That's, I don't know, maybe it's like that in the manga, but that's the only time where I kind of went, that was an interesting choice to not show us that. And not have a scene in between either, to just like cut to it.
I don't know how, like, if MAPPA is going like, oh, we just need to like take on so many projects, it's barely manageable. Like maybe they're doing that. I don't know.
On paper, it's a very solid MAPPA project. It's action-packed and it has that sort of dark, twisted world about it that they're usually so good at bringing to life. And I feel like they're doing pretty well with this, but they haven't sucked me into the world as much as with other series.
I would agree. And I think the reason why it surprises me more is because the world is such a critical part of this series. Like the set, it's one of those stories where the setting is almost its own character. This island is like a real life living, being in itself.
Literally is when main character dude is like, ooh, I'm afraid of the island itself.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, I would have expected more effort to go into sort of animating and creating that world and bringing it to life.
It's hard to know whose issue that is, though. Is it MAPPA's issue or is it an issue from the original manga where just not enough effort was quite put into bringing things to that
I don't know.
peak standard that Sophie expects?
But because you can't say that. Like Demon Slayer, if you compare the manga and the anime, you can elevate things by a whole lot.
Controversial opinion. I don't think Demon Slayer does a good job with the world at all. The world of Demon Slayer is completely unremarkable. The characters and the breathing are phenomenal.
I mean the animation of it.
Oh, the animation is brilliant. The world is fairly mid.
But I feel like the animation brings it to life.
It does. That is the purpose, not the world. Like, again, even in the anime, the world of Demon Slayer it kind of feels like a flat set backdrop compared to the spectacle action that's happening in front of us, which is like where the real meat of goodness of anime is.
I would agree. I just mean so maybe saying that it brings the world to life might be the wrong choice of words. It brings the manga to life in general. Like if I was just reading the manga, I don't think I would be as invested as compared to watching the anime. And so my whole point was that even if the manga doesn't do a great job in terms of the artwork or whatever, I think animation can definitely elevate it to a new level. I haven't opened up the page, so I don't know what the manga is like for Hell's Paradise, but it's certainly not something that I feel for the anime. Which isn't to say it's bad, it's just not what I expected.
Yeah.
I mean, I think fair enough.
I'm personally getting sick of spending so much time in the forest. Like, it was really beautiful and magical when we first got there, but now I'm kind of growing tired of that setting, and I really want to
I know what you're meaning.
do something different, like go into another circle of hell or something, instead of just, it's another fight with the pretty flowers.
They turn you into a monster. Fair enough.
Cool.
Cool. 10 out of 10. Peak
Wow.
fiction.
Okay, well,
I actually did have
I
a
can't live with
question.
that.
This is from the first episode. Out of all the terrible ways to die,
Oh.
which one do you think would be
oof.
the best and the worst?
The worst has got to be the bulls. Like, surely.
The bulls, yeah.
Being ripped apart, like split through the middle.
Yeah.
As much as I do not want to be burned alive, and that would also be horrendous, I feel like it might be slightly preferable to the bulls tearing you apart.
What about the continuous hacking at your neck?
That was probably the best way to go.
Oh, the burning also pretty nasty.
That's what used to happen in classic executions anyway. Like, the guillotine was almost never a smooth thing. Sometimes it would get stuck and you'd have to like go, back up again, drop it. Oh, fuck, not again. It's gonna be one of those days, is it?
I was like, don't worry, we're getting there.
Sorry about this. I gotta sharpen this thing.
Yeah, it really made me see
so morbid.
executioners in a completely different light. This noble family, the dedication that they have in actually taking care of and actually thinking like, I want to make it as painless as possible. I want to give them a swift end.
That's something I really liked, and I haven't mentioned it because it hasn't come up in a while. But the idea of what's her face, female executioner, seeing the truth in the sword. Like, there are these moments where she looks into the blade. I don't remember I don't know what it is about Hell's Paradise, but I don't remember any of the names.
It's a little bit hard to remember. I would agree.
I know that the main character's name isn't Gyukimaru, but whenever I hear his name, all I think is Gyukimaru because they sound so damn similar.
I just call him Hollow because that's what everyone else is like. It's Hollow guy. It doesn't feel.
See, actually, going back to what you said about that girl, I really like that as well. And I was, again, really surprised that she had that level of realization so quickly and just like in the span of one episode, because I figured this is going to be, you know, the, I guess, second lead. And she found that out. It was completely abandoned. And then, yeah, like you really don't get that much character development afterwards.
I missed that whole like glimpse into the sword and getting a mystical what's the future got in store sort of thing. That was really cool. I enjoyed that. I do also like the general idea of the clashing main characters, the super clean kills for the right reasons executioner versus a filthy brutal blood-soaked assassin. And he had this really cool line when they were like, Jesus, he's a brutal fucking killer, and he's just like, would it be okay if I did it clean?
Yeah.
True. Maybe that's why I kind of like his character, even though he feels kind of generic to a certain degree. It's kind of like that, because he has that like comedy and he has like that superpower, like that like most shonen and but he has like a level of like brutality. I feel like that often not matched, at least that early on in the I would say.
Having used the C word, I think that's something that really
Cunt?
brings the series down. Comedy. Every moment of comedy, I think, feels completely out of place in a situation like this. Like
I
when
don't mind it.
Gyukimaru makes the alliance with the Kunoichi and there's like 3 scenes of him like twisting her arm like, Or when, you know, the little boy turns out to be a little girl and the guy's like, I can't look at you. I don't know. I don't think it fits the tone to me that was established.
Yeah, I'm not sure, again, because I don't know the manga, and I assume that the comedy is there in the manga, but yeah, I would agree that there might have been a way. It's not as terrible for me. There might have been a way to like make it a little bit more seamless, maybe integrated like in a more seamless way. Maybe like the comedy itself is almost too strong.
I think it is. I think it's I think
so
it's
too.
over-salted comedy, because you go from these moments of discovering these bizarre, grotesque creatures and fighting for your life, and then all of a sudden it's like, I'm gonna twist the arm of this ninja. Ho, ho, ho. Isn't this funny?
Yeah, I think it would have worked better if it was a bit drier. Yeah, if it was a drier humor, then I think it would have worked better. That's not to say, I think I agree with Manu that I don't think it's like oh my god, it really feels very jarring and I don't like it, but I can definitely see that it could have been handled a lot better.
I will say, I've never laughed at a joke in this series. I might have given like a slight smile, but nothing's ever actually funny to me. Maybe that's just because I'm old and bitter. That may be it. You both are younger, you're both enjoying life. Maybe you find it funnier.
Just some bitterness.
I have to say, you made me laugh more than the show did, so I will give you that.
I don't know if I should be taking that as a compliment or not.
I think Liam would make a really good anime.
Liam would make a good anime.
Anime of my life, Jesus, it would be like Bakugan, but just boring as shit.
I could see like a slice of life being made about Liam's life. Seemingly mundane, but also very like frustrating, like shit that he gets into is like, my toilet's broken again. And he's like in all of these hijinks, like trapping the, the piping with his hand and then...
Okay, so bathroom update. About a month ago, my downstairs bathroom shower started having problems. We've never had problems with the shower before, and the hot water started leaking permanently. And we had to get a plumber in to fix that. Took about a week to get the plumber in, and that was another $450 to add to the pile of money that I've just ceremonially burnt to pray to the bathroom gods.
I understand your latest raid integration now.
Also, my office bathroom now.
Oh no!
The hot water
Really?
in shower number 1 doesn't work. I don't know why. Luckily, there is a second shower.
Maybe you have a bathroom god very angry with you.
Why is it water? Always water.
I think the better question to ask is, what are you doing to the poor bathrooms?
I don't do anything.
What sort of showers do you take?
Yeah.
Hot ones.
Maybe you're an extreme showerer. Like,
Maybe.
I can imagine like Liam like turning it like all the way, like really making sure that like
Yeah.
the water
It's, like,
pressure
aggressive.
is like
In
I must-
Liam's anime, it would be like subtitles aggressive showering.
he gets into a Twitter fight and then he's like, I must wash away this feeling away from me.
Can I just say, I am not an aggressive showerer at all because now I am hyper paranoid about breaking things. So when I turn the shower on, I'm like, oh, carefully, everything's okay? Okay, next one, carefully. All right, and then I can start washing, but I'm not like,
As it should be.
It's character growth.
Character development.
I never used to have water issues, and then all of a sudden, like you hit 30 and it's like, whoop, all the plumbing. You don't need money, do you? That's fine, you need pipes more than that.
Speaking of being old, I twisted my foot in the exact same way.
Fuck's sake, Sophie.
In almost the exact same location. Luckily didn't break anything, but I've been super cautious in how I walk lately now because I was literally just walking and then twisted my foot and thought, holy shit, it's the same foot. I could have broken it. I don't know if it's a problem with my shoes or I really don't know if I've just like, I don't know, maybe I've become calcium deficient or something.
But it's a problem specifically with like that foot, isn't
How's
it?
your foot doing in general?
I mean, how is my foot doing since the accident, since the injury?
What's the alternative to the question?
I don't know,
No,
just
before,
general. Maybe
before.
you care.
How is it doing before the injury?
I've always had feet problems.
That's reassuring to hear.
It's not good, Sophie. You're gonna need those going forward.
I am aware, but maybe I should go back to physio or something. But they told me when I was getting my boot off that I probably won't need to go to physio and that I've actually made a very good recovery. And so maybe I was
Vigorous.
yes, I think so. I was too much of a extreme walker. And now I'm gonna have to be like how Liam takes his shower and be like, ooh, one step and then another step. Okay, this foot's fine.
I mean, especially be careful around that same location that you seem to always mess up at.
I mean, that's not a good sign considering that's where I work. And it's literally, I don't know, within 50 meters of my office. And so it is a bit unavoidable. Maybe I should just quit.
Approach it from the other direction.
Come in from the other road. Is that what you suggested?
Yeah. There's more than one way to get to work. You just go from the other way. Like, say Sophie goes to work this way. There's a dangerous thing. Broken. So then you go, oh, I'll go from this way.
But it's like train station work.
And then train station shortly after that.
Yep, so I'll go an extra train station and walk like what, 3 times the distance. I think I'll take my chances.
Yeah, Sophie, what's more important, saving 10 minutes every morning or being able to walk?
But there's 3 times more chance of me getting injured while walking 3 times the distance.
Yeah, but it seems to be very condensed to this one location.
I also have to say, I don't know, this guy is probably not watching, but I'm sorry to whoever heard me swear at him because I wasn't actually swearing at him. I was just
swore?
swearing at the situation. When I twisted my foot, it hurt, so I went, oh, fuck. But I think the guy thought he must have pushed me because he apologized and I was too out of it to clarify the situation because both of us were sort of in a hurry to get to work.
Right, so he thinks he was a dick.
Which is the complete opposite of what happened the first time I injured my foot. Because the first time was actually because someone did literally run into me and my friend and did not apologize. And so we've got a weird karmic circle going around.
You.
But now you guys are part of my journey.
I don't want to be part of your foot journey. Don't you drag me into this. I have enough problems.
Okay, and I think that is a good time. Everyone say thank you to Dominic Smith.
Dominic Smith.
Thank you, Dominic. Appreciate it.
Everyone applaud.
I was applauding.
It's very soft. It doesn't feel like,
polite.
you know,
Gentle.
you're doing it. You gotta really give it up. Not
And
that's
just
more like a
break the drum.
sarcastic. Like, thanks, Dominic.
Have fun with the audio. Red.
At least there's lots of repoints for him to resync.
Is it
yeah.
spiking? Anyways, we really appreciate you tuning in. We have a non-anime related episode next time. But feel free to let us know more anime that you'd like to hear us cover or other things. We're always very open and happy to hear recommendations. Otherwise, any last words from you guys that you want to
Yes,
share?
what are we watching next week, Manu?
He just said it, Liam. Did you tune out?
Oh, did he? Yeah, completely.
He was like completely tuned out. He was like,
All I heard was
just
next week we have a
smiling.
non-anime episode, and then, yeah, anything else you guys want to say?
Clearly, either you were not listening now or you were not listening earlier when we discussed
No,
Perhaps
we
both.
discussed that off camera, didn't we?
Yeah.
And what we're supposed to do is
But we're not
tell
watching
people.
anything.
Here, we're recording, Manu. We're recording. We tell people what we're going to be talking about.
I thought we're only telling people what we're talking about if we're actually watching something.
I feel like this is something we have to take off camera and discuss
Anyways,
between ourselves.
next, okay.
For next
Well, let's
time.
just say, sure. Next week, this podcast will be controlled by AI. Is that what you wanted me to say? Well, now you know.
Okay. So
aggressively
chaotic.
sipping.
And then drinking.
Showering.
we will talk about this. We will talk about this. Because that's not what I thought.
What did Sophie say earlier? That's not how we usually do it. Anyways, guys, really appreciate you tuning in. We see you next week. See how crazy it'll get with the AI. And yeah, thank you for listening.
Bye-bye.
Bye.